What is up, guys? Today a serious video that I've been meaning to make for a long while now, and I got a message this morning which really prompted me to be like, right, I need to make this video because it's important. So I've been an online coach for the last 2.5 years, if you didn't know. If you're interested in that, quickly self-promotion, message me on Instagram at that link below. And also if you have any questions about this video or you've encountered any issues yourself that I will talk about in this video, I'm happy to help you out in the chat, message me. I've also got a bodybuilding chat room. The link to that will be in the description. It's on Telegram and we discuss all sorts of things like this, everything bodybuilding, fitness based. It's a really great little community at the moment. We've got like 80 odd members, and the more people are in there, the better it gets. So anyway, the message I got this morning was a 19-year-old asking about HCG and PCT stuff. And the reason being was, at the age of 14, right, someone suggested to them to take a supplement that had Dianabol in it. And they ran that for like 4 or so weeks. They said their testicles shrank and they've never come back. At 14, how is someone allowing somebody to take this shit at 14? It's so bad. So I want to make this video to say, stop taking oral steroids, right? There is basically never any need to use them. And I've seen and heard a lot of shit over the last 2 years as a coach. Some of the biggest ways people screw themselves up or misuse certain steroids is oral ones. So it's about time I just go through when and where is the appropriate place to use them, if ever, okay? So number one, bulking oral steroids. I hate these things, alright, with a passion. I really do not rate them. They're one of the most overused steroids that aren't actually that good. So let's go through. So for bulking steroids, we've got things like Dianabol, Anadrol, Oxys, anything that tries to add weight to the body really quickly. Now, in my opinion, you want to stay away from these full stop. I don't think there's any place for them in amateur or even professional bodybuilding. So what these bulking steroids do is kick in quickly, add a lot of weight quickly, and up your strength quite quickly, which is what makes them really appealing to people. You see sort of immediate results. But in actual fact, what you're gaining here when you take these steroids isn't any real muscle mass. You can't gain muscle overnight, alright? So when people start taking these oral steroids and see the scales go up, they're like, oh shit, this is working, I'm getting bigger, I'm getting stronger, I feel bigger. When in actual fact, the weight you're gaining is almost entirely water weight. And the reason this is so bad is it increases your blood pressure. They also increase your estrogen levels, all of these bulking steroids, which means more water retention, which means higher blood pressure. They are also toxic to the liver, especially in some of the doses people were saying that they were taking. Blew my mind as how ridiculous they were. So yes, they do get you bigger quickly in a sense, but the second you stop taking them, all of that water weight that you've gained and that fullness immediately vanishes. It's gone. It doesn't come back, it doesn't stay. You don't really hold much gains from Dianabol or Oxys or anything, in my opinion. And yes, they do up your strength, but again, that is temporary. As soon as you stop taking them, that is gone. You're not going to maintain much strength because you're not actually going to build much muscle mass. The longest you should be really running these oral steroids anyway is 30 days. You can't build a ton of muscle in 30 days. If you're really genetically lucky, you might gain a pound of muscle. That's if you're like me and I just put on size easily no matter what I take. And a lot of people aren't like that. And also they won't be disciplined to their training, I found, or their diet. They'll be eating really sloppily, which is going to just make your blood pressure and cholesterol levels even worse. I forgot about cholesterol effect. Oral steroids also can have quite a big impact on blood sugar levels and things like that. There's so many different things to consider with them, and they are so much more toxic than just standard injectable testosterone, for example, just way worse. And I think the problem is people are just impatient and or don't want to use injectables. So the few cases where people go massively wrong is, number one, they will do an oral only bulking cycle. This is an incredibly bad idea. Don't ever do this. And this is why people get fucked up. And this is generally younger males, but it does apply to people much older as well who just don't even do basic research and just think a pot of pills is going to make them get massively big at the gym suddenly. Really does not work like that. So the problem with taking oral steroids on their own, like I said, is the effects once you stop is going to immediately drop off. And you can only take them for a certain amount of time before they really start to do damage to your liver. And I have had a client before who, even on the weakest steroid Anavar, got some beginnings of liver failure. But I'm going to talk about that in the cutting drug section. But liver failure and liver damage is a very real possibility taking oral steroids. especially when you're taking doses like above 50, 100 milligrams, 150 milligrams a day some people are taking. It's insane and it's stupid. And as I've gotten older, I've like learned this. So the main problem with an oral cycle as well, normally people will run it for 30 days, not have much of a problem, okay? But they stop. They have no PCT, they haven't considered post-cycle therapy, and taking just an oral only steroid like Dianabol will shut down your natural testosterone levels, okay? And if you don't have something in place afterwards to kick it back up, it's just going to stay down. And this 19-year-old now has had 5 years of low testosterone levels because he decided to take some Debo when he was younger, and now has only considered that he might need to fix the issue. And this is, I feel really bad for this guy because it could have stunted his growth. It could have really damaged his body by taking it at such a young age. And whoever told him to, or advised him to take it, shame on you, because just shame on you. So the second time people take this in the wrong time is an oral kickstarter, okay? Very common. People will do their testosterone cycle, or their first testosterone cycle, or any cycle, and they'll be so impatient to get results that they'll chuck it in for the first 30 days. Now, the reason this is pointless is, like I said before. Number one, as soon as you stop taking that Debo, a lot of that size and fullness is going to drop off, even on a test cycle as a base. And also, why damage your liver and just get all this negative blood pressure effect when you're taking testosterone anyway? Have a little patience, and this is what people need to understand. I think a lot of people think that when you do a cycle of testosterone, the most common ester to use is nth of testosterone normally, so that's about 4.5 day half-life. You'll take it twice a week. People seem to get it in their head that until the 6-week mark of their cycle, the testosterone is doing nothing and they need something else to boost it to get it started faster. Just slow down, right? Bodybuilding is not a race at all, and you don't need to be chucking in all this extra shit, right? And a lot of the times when people are chucking in these oral steroids at the start of their cycle as well, they'll be showing me their diet and their training, and it will be terrible. So this steroid itself is not even going to help them. They're just jumping on a cycle with the completely incorrect training and diet plan, or just no training and diet plan, hoping to get big suddenly and do it quickly, and it just doesn't work. And also, when you take an injectable steroid like testosterone, you don't need a kickstarter because this testosterone kicks in right away. I think people just assume it does nothing until like the 4 to 6 week mark, which is absolutely not what happens. So when you inject, 48 hours after you've injected, all of the oil will be absorbed into the muscle tissue and into the body. Then the ester on the testosterone will slowly break off, but that happens immediately. As soon as it's in the bloodstream, it starts to break down, enabling it to become free testosterone while your receptors will take it up and it will start to get used. So say you took your first ever dose of testosterone, 250 milligrams on a Monday. It's got a half-life of 4.5 days, right? So it takes 2 days to fully absorb, 4.5 days for half of the ester to break away and release that testosterone into the bloodstream, which means after 6.5 days, you're gonna have about 125 milligrams of testosterone that will have been absorbed by your body. Now this is twice natural levels at least, almost 3 times natural levels. So to say the cycle isn't working right away is completely false. And also, you won't just be doing normally a 250 milligram jab, you'll be doing one on Monday and on Thursday. So you're gonna have a lot more than 125 milligrams actually absorbed in that week's period. The need for an oral kickstarter is not there, you just don't need it. And these injectable steroids do start working pretty much right away. They're just not the full dose strength because it breaks off slowly, so you don't get massive spikes and drops in your hormones like with the prop esters, which I don't really like anyway. But essentially, just to round up the bulking side of things, I don't think they're needed ever. I mean, unless you're going into some sort of professional powerlifting meet where you really need that extra strength, maybe that's when you might use it. But otherwise, I just don't see a need or a purpose for it other than people being impatient and wanting to gain quick weight, but it's not even real muscle weight. So oral kickstarters, no. Oral steroids bulking, no. Just full stop, just don't use them. You don't need them. I know they're cheap, I know they seem effective, and I know mentally they might give people with some drive to be like, all right, these Debo are kicking in right away, I'll train harder. But don't think like that, because if you're taking a testosterone base, it's going to kick in straight away and you're about to train harder and gain muscle right away, and it's going to be a much more steady on your hormone levels, much less harsh on your body. You're not going to get the same blood pressure spikes or issues. You're not going to get the same water retention as you would with Debo. It's just much better for your body, and you know, just don't. Okay, just stop there. Now, the second lot of oral steroids is your cutting ones, and these are horribly misunderstood. Now, again, personally for me, if you're not a professional, as in you make money from, you know, looking good, being in shape, or you're doing a contest, there is no reason to take any cutting steroids. And here is why. Number one, they only really have a visible effect when you get really lean. And when I say really lean, I mean you've already got like a 6 to 8 pack, you're below 10%, even below 8% body fat, right? Right now, my body fat is way too fat, right? I'm not even that, like, holding that much fat really, compared to the average person, and I'm too fat to bother using any oral steroids like Winstrol, Anavar, Proviron, because the effects would just not be that noticeable, because I'm still carrying too much fat over the muscles. These drugs are what I like to call aesthetic drugs. They do other things as well, like boost your strength, hold muscle mass, size. They can help you gain muscle size and strength as well. They do that. But again, the same as the oral steroids, they're toxic to the liver, and I just don't really see the need to take them, and most cases people take them in the wrong situation. So I have a lot of people coming to me wanting to cut down. It's the most common thing, people want to lose weight, right? And they'll want to do a cutting cycle, and they'll want to chuck in like Anavar and Winstrol, and I'll look at their pictures and they'll be like 15 to 20% body fat. I'm like, you don't need Anavar or Winstrol at all. I'm like, what's your diet like? I'm like, no, I just want to take Anavar and Winstrol, it will help me cut the fat off. Oral cutting steroids do not burn off fat, alright? No steroids really burn off fat. Getting rid of fat is down to diet, cardio, and just being in a calorie deficit. Simple as that, alright? That's what gets you lean. The oral cutting steroids help bring out definition, detail, keep muscle fullness when you're crazy lean, when you're on really low calories, and where at a point where you're natural, you'd lose muscle, and you'd lose size, and you'd lose that definition, you'd look flat. So they help keep muscle fullness, muscle roundness. Things like Winstrol really bring out muscle dryness and hardness, but only if you're already really lean, alright? The rest of the time, there's no need to use them. And I stopped using oral steroids ages ago, and the last time I used them was for a contest prep, and that was the only reason I used it. And as soon as my contest got cancelled, I dropped them right away, because there was no need for me to take it. I wasn't going to step on stage anymore. I didn't need that lean, dry, crazy look. So I discontinued it, because what was the point? Why do more damage to your liver for nothing, just to look better for yourself in the mirror? You can look insane without these drugs as well. You don't need these oral steroids to look really, really good. All they do is bring you to the next level. Like when you want to take it to that professional step, they get rid of that last bit of water retention. They give you that crazy, grainy, dry, shredded look. But a lot of people don't even have the discipline to get close to it. I've never even really got the discipline to get close to that super crazy shredded level where taking oral steroids would actually have a good impact on how you look. So the only time I've ever got a client to take them was for a contest prep. All of my other clients, never tell them to take oral steroids. I told them to stop. And there was one case of a client I had really early on who was taking Anavar, and I told them to stop. And they didn't listen to me, because they got it in their head that without the Anavar they were losing muscle mass and all this sort of stuff. Even though they're on a small test base to their cycle, they just kept taking Anavar. They were quite young, and I guess didn't want to listen to my advice. He was with me for quite a while, and at a certain point he messaged me going, bro, I've been in hospital with liver failure. I'm sorry I didn't tell you this earlier, but I've been taking 100 to 150 milligrams of Anavar a day for the last 6 months. I was just like, fucking hell, what have you done? Like, so even a weak steroid like Anavar, when taking in that sort of dosages for that long a time, is going to damage your liver, and it damaged his. And he was lucky that the liver is actually quite good at recovering, and he caught it early enough and on. I say he caught it early enough. He started getting jaundice, his eyes were going yellow, He felt all those horrible side effects of having your liver not functioning properly. He was vomiting, he couldn't keep food down. And luckily he stopped before it got to the point where he'd done permanent damage, and he is completely fine now. But you can really fuck yourself up even on the weaker oral steroids cutting. So if that's one horror story warning to not use them excessively, I don't know what is. Some other side effects of the oral steroids for cutting as well that I haven't mentioned yet are things like joint soreness, headaches, muscle aches, especially things like Winstrol. I find that I get real bad headaches on Winstrol because it dehydrates you, it really dries you out, and that is bad for the body, okay, as well. Being dehydrated is really not good for your health. It spikes your blood pressure up again when you're dehydrated. Just as bad as having water retention, being dehydrated is just as bad for spiking your blood pressure too. These oral steroids also fuck around with your cholesterol and insulin levels just the same as the bulking ones. They really should be kept to minimal use if you're entering a show, or if you're literally an Instagram model and you know that extra shreds on your lower abs is what gets you more money. Completely understandable then. That's kind of what I'd consider acceptable use of them. But again, still, if you're doing that, you don't ever really want to use them past 6 weeks worth in a row, and you want to be taking liver protection such as NAC, or there's a couple of choline and inositol is quite a good one, and there's a few other good supplements out there that help protect your liver. We should always be running with orals as well, and also you should always check that your liver functionality is 100% before you even take a single pill, because if you have liver issues or even kidney issues that are underlying and you start taking oral steroids, you could go into liver failure really fast, because they are pretty toxic on the liver. So it's just something to be warned about, and just be careful. And you know, if you are going to use these sorts of steroids, maybe get a coach to make sure that you use them properly and don't screw yourself up. But yeah, that pretty much covers everything I wanted to say really. Stop using oral steroids. They're shit. Or they're not necessarily shit, but they're just so misused and so overused, and people need to stop using them. And the biggest abusers of these drugs are people who don't understand how they work, okay? And I urge anyone here watching this that if you're taking anything at all, anything, right, really research how it works before you take it. That is the biggest reason people make this mistake, or these mistakes in the first place, is they don't do proper research, or they've been given information from an unreliable source and they're following it. And by that I mean a gym bro, an online forum, some random person on Instagram who said that it's a great idea. Use your brain, look for more than one source of information. Whenever I was researching stuff that I was going to take myself, I wouldn't just go on one forum and go, okay, that guy said that, that means it's absolute fact. I would research a couple of different medical websites, a few different forums. I'd research all over the place to get a sort of general idea of what was actually the truth and what was just random fabrication that people thought was true, or misinformation. There's so much misinformation out there, and I sometimes misspeak when I say certain things in my videos about steroids, which is why I stopped making them, because I didn't want to make a mistake that someone would follow. But yeah, that pretty much sums up everything I had to say. Hope you guys stay safe, stay healthy. If you like this video, I will do some more covering specific drugs in a lot more detail, and when and where they can and can't be used, etc. And how to get the best out of stuff. If you guys like this, I will do more videos, and I'll base them around where people make the most mistakes that I've seen as a coach, where people screw themselves up. So now, I swear the video is done. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Stop taking oral steroids.